Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here, and I'm here with Juan to do another preview for the Washington football team's game this week against the Buccaneers. It's, a different day, but should still be a good one. We're going to preview the game, give you guys some injury updates, and we'll also talk about some quarterbacks. I mean, two quarterbacks played last night, Kenny Pickett and Sam Howell, so we'll talk about that, but we'll, primarily talk about the matchup this weekend. How are you doing, Juan? And appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. It's always a blessing to come on here and talk about this team. As bad as we are, at least I'm happy to finally have them back to playing. Every year the bye week comes around, I don't care how bad or good we are, it's still like kind of sad and boring in a way because like you kind of want to see your team. Isn't the same without your teams playing. So it doesn't matter how bad we are. I'm always gonna watch, my team. So I'm excited to finally have these boys back. I'm doing well, and I thank you for having me on, man.
Yep. Thank you for coming on. Make sure you guys go ahead and check them out. And, what's up, KON Rockstar? Appreciate you coming through. What's up, Sway Run 21? Great Washington football team content creator. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is, but if you don't, make sure you guys go ahead and check him out. Drop some dope highlights of all the Washington football team players that they're bringing in, players that are gone. So make sure you guys check them out. And, hey, Sway, if you want to come on right now, just let me know. We'll put all three of us on. You can just DM me on Twitter. That would be fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this game. Let's start off, with an injury update. We'll start off with an injury update for the people that are watching on replay. So the play, yeah, I'll give the full injury report, and you let me know anything that stands out to you. So obviously, Curtis Samuel is out, side field. Curtis Samuel and Montez Sweat, both those guys are out, and that's to be expected. But Benjamin St-Juste is out, and that was unexpected. He has his second concussion of the year. That is very, very concerning because, not the recovery, because, usually concussions is, 1 week, maybe 2 week thing at the most. But once you start building these, not only does it take longer to, recover from them, but they also become more common. So that is something, two concussions in like 4 weeks. That is very, very concerning. I mean, they say he's in concussion protocol, which usually does mean he, got a concussion, but let's hope he didn't get a concussion and it's just protocol because they say concussion and illness. Maybe he has the illness because of the concussion, but that is definitely concerning. Like we said, Montez Sweat expected. We expected him to be out. De'Ami Brown, Sam Cosmi, and Samus Reyes are all questionable. Would be a huge boost if we get Sam Cosmi back, and everyone else is good to go. William Jackson, Brandon Sheriff, Gibson wasn't even, deemed questionable. He is good to go. So that is the Washington side. So I'll get your reaction on that, Juan, and then after that, we'll go on the Bucs side.
Yeah, so for me, not really no surprises at the first two with Curtis Samuel, Montez Sweat. We all three like kind of like not three, but both of us we kind of made the same video on the same day, which was kind of funny because that must means we were thinking about the same thing with Curtis Samuel, and I'm pretty sure we said the same thing where it's like we should shut him down, man. It's like
Yep.
it's no point to continue to force him to play. It's obvious that he isn't healthy. This guy's been dealing with this growing since May. You know what I'm saying? And who's to say? And I could definitely be wrong, but who's to say with him getting that injury in May and us just relaxing with him throughout the whole training camp, throughout the whole preseason, and throughout the whole first 4 weeks, maybe he's ready to go. But we kept trying to push him. We kept trying to make him practice, work on the side field, and that even though those slightest movements of the agility ladder, the bike, those slightest movements could tweak the growing and make it hurt even more. We're way past the stage of workouts and stretches to heal the groin or try to fix the groin. It's a legitimate injury. I mean, this guy literally missed practice yesterday to go to the doctors to see if if it's something that he could do or if it's just an opinion on his groin, and that's not a good sign. You know what I'm saying? So I think with Curtis Samuel, he should just shut it down, man. It's no point of forcing him to play for this year. Now, the only way I see of them continue to try to work out Curtis Samuel is if we win Sunday by somehow we win. then you really think Curtis Samuel can help us like make a late run at the playoffs, then I will understand them continue to try to get them back and work them back. But if we lose Sunday, it's literally no point, because I know we said the season's over when we lost to the Broncos. But mathematically and realistically, it's not over. We just think it's over. But if we lose Sunday, it's literally over. Like, it's literally over. So the Sunday's game is really dependent on, I guess, his status, and in my opinion, at least from thinking about it from their perspective. But right now, even still, I was just shut him down. And as far as Montez Sweat, we knew he was going to be out for the next couple of weeks. A lot of people were asking why they didn't put him on IR, only because I think they feel like he can come back within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then the rest of the list, I'm pretty positive about. De'Ami Brown, we should be getting back. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Brandon Sheriff, we should be getting back, obviously. And then Sam Cosme, I'm pretty sure we're getting back. And then we have, I'm trying to think who else is on that. I literally just did a video.
Logan Thomas is probably not going to play.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is. I'm trying to look at the people that were in like that were in. William Jackson is going to play more likely than not. He was full all week, so I'm pretty confident with the way our injury report looks, besides Curtis Samuel and Montez Sweat, but those were the injuries that we expected. So.
Yeah, and what's up, Philip? Appreciate you coming through, and what's up, Dave in DC? Appreciate that.
My guy, Dave,
for coming through. So yeah, I mean, honestly, not anything too surprising except for Benjamin St. Juste. I think Yami will play. Samus Reyes questionable, doesn't really matter. Sam Cosme, I'm not sure. He was limited all week, so we'll see. I think it's like a 50-50 in my opinion if he plays or not.
I think he does.
Yeah. And then the Bucs, they have a ton of injuries. Antonio Brown, out. Rob Gronkowski, out. Rashad Robinson, out. D. Delaney, who's a cornerback, along with Rashad Robinson, he is questionable. Chris Godwin, he is questionable, but he didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday and was limited today, so got a little bit better. We'll see if he plays. Jason Pierre-Paul didn't practice at all the whole week. He is questionable, so we'll see. But they've got a ton of injuries. I mean, two of their three best receivers might not go. Their tight end, one of the better tight ends in the NFL, he will be out, and they might have a couple other defensive guys out. So they are definitely also, dealing with a ton of injuries. So that could be an advantage to the Washington football team this week.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their injury report right now, and I did a video on it earlier, but I was just refreshing. So D. Delaney is out. He's out, or Rashad Robinson, sorry about that, is out. D. Delaney is questionable, and even though those two guys are questionable and out, they're like depth pieces on their cornerback position in their secondary. But at the same time, their secondary has been decimated with injuries. So that's not a good sign for the Buccaneers, and that could be something that we could take advantage of. As far as Antonio Brown being out, that is huge, because I know they have Mike Evans. I know they have Chris Godwin, but Antonio Brown is their number one receiver. I don't care what nobody says. Since Antonio Brown has became a Buccaneer, that's been Tom Brady's go-to guy. That's been his favorite guy to go to. He's their number one receiver. I don't care how it is on the depth chart. I don't care about, the names and whatnot and who has the most, I guess, clout would be the word to say. But I think Antonio Brown's their number one receiver. He's out. Chris Godwin dealing with a foot, did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday. He was limited on Friday. I think he does play, but he's most likely going to be a game-time decision. Rob Gronkowski's out. Although his role has decreased and he's not the same Gronk as in the past, he's still really, really good, especially in the red zone. So him being out is huge for us. And then they still have, I was about to call the guy OJ Howard. OJ Howard. They still have OJ Howard, who could be a real threat. Jason Pierre-Paul dealing with the shoulder/hand. He didn't practice all week, but he's questionable. I think it's going to be one of those cases where they just sit him out throughout the whole week, but he's just going to play just to not force him to, hurt it anymore. It's a shoulder/hand. And now, unless it's a severe injury, I think he plays. It's a shoulder/hand. So I think he plays. And then, again, D. Delaney, he's questionable with an ankle. That's a cornerback depth right there. Rashad Robinson, another guy that's a part of that cornerback depth, he is out. Then you have Giovanni Bernard, who is going to play, and Steven McClendon and then Dominican Sue all with rest, so they should be good. So yeah, man, they're pretty banged up. And the top two, or top three rather for that matter, are the ones I'm looking at the most, especially Antonio Brown being out, because that means we're going to get a ton of Scotty Miller. And with Juice being out, that could really, really help us, because we know how good Antonio Brown is. We've seen it last year in the playoff game versus them.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to talk about is and what's up, King Sean? Appreciate you coming through. One thing I do want to talk about is William Jackson, and it is not a coincidence that our best 2 weeks in coverage and as a defense were when William Jackson was out. I mean, we played pretty well against the Packers. I think we allowed 24 points, but I think Heineke had he had a fumble right in the own red zone. So like, I'm not really going to put that on the defense. And they played pretty well against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. They were, they still had Aaron Rodgers that week. They had Devontae Adams. They had their whole receiving core. And we did pretty well against them. And that was without William Jackson. We held, Devontae Adams to 76 receiving yards, and 26 of those came on an insane catch where Kendall Fuller had some pretty good coverage on him. And then against the, Broncos, who aren't like a great team, but, offensively, they're not even a good team, but we still held them to 17 points. We're solid in that game. And, Teddy Bridgewater really didn't do that much. And that was without William Jackson. And they got, they got three good receivers, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Jerry Jeudy. And one thing, and PFF, you have to take everything there with a grain of salt. But one thing that they have is that every defensive secondary player on the Washington football team, except for Cam Curl, their PFF zone coverage grade is better than their man coverage grade. But the thing is, with William Jackson there, they're playing more man coverage to, suit his strength. But the thing is, that's hurting other players like Kendall Fuller and other guys. So, William Jackson's going to have to adjust, and he has to step up. The next, I'll give him a little bit of a pass because it is a new system. But, I mean, he has to step up, especially this week with Benjamin St-Juste out, who, probably has been our best corner this year, maybe best or second best corner.
Yeah, and with William Jackson coming back, I understand he's been terrible this year outside of that one pick that he had in the first week of the season where he kind of baited Justin Herbert. I still want him out there. I mean, it's like you much rather go down and I guess, go to war and lose with your best guys out there than, make excuses and say, oh, we had Danny Johnson out there. We had Corn Elder out there. You don't want to see Corn Elder. I like Danny Johnson, and I think he's going to be really solid when he plays. But again, you don't want to see Corn Elder. You don't want to see Troy Ackley out there. So I'm really glad we got William Jackson back. But as the saying goes, as I said in my video, you get one, you lose one. As we get William Jackson back, we lose Benjamin St-Juste. So we're going to see a lot of Kendall Fuller on the outside and probably Danny Johnson in the slot. But I'm excited to get William Jackson back. I know he's been bad again, but I would rather have him back than not. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Hopefully he can adjust to the zone situation, as he likes to call it. But again, that falls on the coaching staff. Why go get a zone guy when you obviously, or why go get a man guy rather when you obviously run a ton of zone? But we're way past that. Hopefully he could fit in well, gel. Obviously this season is gonna, it's probably not going as he expected, but I hope next year and the year after that he can really adjust well, because we know how good William Jackson can be. It's just all about, patience, and I'm excited to see what he can do. He's going to be checking, more than likely Mike Evans. He has that, that size on William Jackson, but he's our best option when it comes to checking Mike Evans. So we'll see, but I'm excited to have him back.
And I think that's, not a great matchup because Mike Evans is, he's really good. But, Mike Evans, he's fast, but he's not like one of the speed guys. He's more of a possession guy. He gets those contested catches. And William Jackson, he's fast, but again, he's not like a speed demon. So I think that fits his, it fits him a little bit better than someone like Antonio Brown, which I think, would cook us up So good thing that he is out. So let's shout some people out in the chat. What's up, Corey, LK78? What's up, Tyler C? What's up, Dave Quavis? Appreciate all you guys for coming through. So let's get into some keys to victory. We'll do that, maybe a score prediction and maybe a couple stat predictions, and then we'll do kind of some quarterback talk and then maybe some Wizards talk as well. So give me a key to victory you have for this game, because like you said earlier, very unlikely we do make the playoffs. But if we win this game, we still have a couple other, winnable games on the schedule. You got the Panthers, maybe the Seahawks, unlikely, maybe the Raiders, unlikely. And you got 5 NFC East games. Again, both of us don't think we're going to make the playoffs. But if you win this game, the chances go up, and maybe they can do something, or not even make the playoffs, but finish the year off somewhat strong, 6-7 wins at the end of the year. So this is an important game if they do want to make the playoffs.
Give me 1 second here. Turn on the light. That looks way better. Okay. So one of my keys to victory, and this is the obvious, I always got to state the obvious first. Got to get pressure on Tom Brady. And when you look at most of the losses Tom Brady has had, especially last year, like the Bears, the Rams, I believe they lost to the Rams last year. I could be wrong, but the Bears game more than likely, or I guess whether you say that right or wrong. But the Bears game is the one I'm looking at the most. Bucks 120. Okay, never mind. But the Bears game is the one I'm looking at the most from last year, because when you get pressure on Tom Brady, that's your only way to beat him. So I'm stating the obvious. We have to get pressure on Tom Brady. This is the worst week for Montez Sweat to be out, because now all they have to do is key in on Chase Young, and we know we're expecting a big second half from Chase Young, or we're at least hoping for a bigger second half from Chase Young, since the first half didn't go as we thought. But it's not going to be good enough to get start, because with Montez Sweat being out, all they have to do is double team Chase Young. A lot of people have been crying about double teams with Chase Young, which he has not been getting double teamed as much as people like to make it seem. You're going to see him get double teamed as much as as you think he is in the first half this past season, as much as the people out there. And I love Chase Young. You guys know I'm probably one of the biggest Chase Young fans in this fan base, but I got to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? So, if you thought he was getting double teamed a lot in the first half of the season, you were not going to want to watch this second half of the season, especially with Montez Sweat being out, because they are going to double team him like crazy. Nobody scares, and you can argue, Chase Young doesn't scare anybody, but nobody scares the team, or the Buccaneers rather, on the Washington football team, besides Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat being out, on person that's a threat, Chase Young, boom, put another body over there, then make Casey too, he'll beat you. Make James Smith-Williams beat you. Make Shaka Tony beat you. Make William Bradley King beat you. Those guys aren't threats, at least right now. So, again, we got to get pressure on Tom Brady, and this is the worst week for Montez Sweat to be out. So I need that pocket not being able. I don't need him to be able to climb up. I need the defensive line, the D tackles, more importantly, Deron, John, Matt, Tim. I need them to close and cave in that up the middle, so he can't climb the pocket. So then Chase and Toohill man, but Toohill, Smith, Williams, Tony, William Bradley King, all those guys, they can come around the edge and have an easy sack or an easy hit as he threw that could force an interception. Obviously, easier said than done, because we know as Tom Brady's getting older, he gets the ball out quicker. So it's easier said than done. However, I think that is probably the major key that we need to, beat the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and I'll kind of add on to that, interior pressure. We always hear that. Interior pressure against Tom Brady is what really, really gets him. And, we've gotten pressure in the interior this year from Jonathan Allen especially. But, Dron Payne's done some things. Matt Ioannidis definitely has done some things. So we got to get interior pressure if we want to, make this game competitive. Tom Brady isn't great under interior pressure. Not a lot of quarterbacks are. And, so yeah, we got to get interior pressure. Jonathan Allen and Dron Payne and Matt Ioannidis, they have to ball out. Tim Settle as well if he gets some playing time. And you know what? Chase Young, he has to step up. Like, I don't care if he's getting double team more. Number 2 overall pick, have super high expectations for him. He has to have a big second year. I mean, you can say, oh, he's getting double team. He has a good pass rush win rate. And I get all those things because it's true. He's getting double teamed and, he's winning some of these rushes. But at the end of the day, what we want are sacks and even pressures as well. And, he's not doing that much this year. So, the elite pass rushers, Von Miller in his prime, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Aaron Donald, they get double teamed all the time and they still find a way to get to the quarterback. So he has to step up. He really, really does. I want to hear from you guys in the chat. How many sacks do you want from Chase Young in the second half? And how many do you realistically think that he will get? I'm really not sure. I want like at least, and it's asking a lot, but 7.5 plus. That's what I would expect from him. Really, I mean, I was expecting 12, 13 plus sacks from him this year. And, that wouldn't be that far off in terms of, half the season, what he would be on pace for. But what I'm thinking is probably going to be like 4.5 is what he gets. I think he's going to get 4.5 sacks at the end of 4.5 more sacks. So that would put him at 6 sacks, I believe, at the end of the season, which of course would be disappointing. Chase Young has to step up, and the interior pressure, interior line, they're going to also have to step up if we want to win this game.
Yeah, I think honestly, when you look at Chase Young, again, and I made a video on this, you've made a video on this. I don't want to make it seem like it's all on the coaches because it's not. He plays a big role in his, not him having a lot of success. But I look solely at Sam Mills. Like I don't.
Oh,
I'm
for
not,
sure.
I'm not looking on Ron Rivera. I'm not looking on, Jack Del Rio, but I'm looking at Sam Mills. Yeah, the only thing you can really say about Ron Rivera is he was wrong for hiring these guys and putting his trust in these guys to make these players successful. But you got to look at it like this. Ron takes all the hate because obviously he's the head coach and rightfully so for some of the things, right? But you got to look at it like this. Ron has to look at the whole team and even more so for Ron Rivera, he has to look at this whole franchise. So he doesn't have all day to just focus on Chase Young. That's why you hire positional coaches, right? That's why you hire positional coaches. And Sam Mills, I'm not saying it's just solely him, right? It's not just him. It's Chase Young, Montez Sweat, all of these guys, because they have to go out there and perform. But when you watch quote unquote film with these guys, it's no way you sit there and watch film with them and be okay with what you see. It's no way. You have to tell these guys what they're doing wrong. You got to help them come up with some type of rush plan. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think he's doing that. He told us that they're watching Ryan Kerrigan film. With all due respect to RK, I love Ryan Kerrigan. One of the best Washington football team in franchise history. Washington Redskins / Washington football team player in franchise history. But why are you watching Ryan Kerrigan film, man? That's not the kind of player that Chase Young is. We want Chase Young to be one of these top pass rushers in all of football, which he has the potential to be. He needs to be watching Myles Garrett videos and Khalil Mack and Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, TJ Watt, JJ Watt, even Aaron Donald. Why is he watching Ryan Kerrigan? You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm not trying to put it all on Sam Mills because again, I don't know what they're teaching. They very well could be teaching them, and Chase is just not getting it. But I fail to believe that. So I'm putting majority of the blame, not majority, but some of it on Sam Mills. But what else were you talking about before I left? I'm sorry about that.
Oh, I was kind of saying like, what are your like kind of sack projections for like Chase Young? Like what you want him, like what you would want him to have in the second half, and what you realistically think he'll have in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I'm with Tyler C. I want at least 10.5, 11. That would be crazy. But I realistically think maybe 5.5 or 6 sacks to close out the season. I just don't see him. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Broncos, game really teed him up and really start to spark something. But I don't see it, especially with Montez Sweat being out. So I think, honestly, he may finish the season with 5, 6 sacks. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see him, having that tear how we think or how some of us think he can have. I hope I'm wrong again, bro, but, like, no tears, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And Dave in DC really
My
appreciate the
guy.
$10 donation. Says, hey, Pedro, I've been watching your posts for a while. This is the first chance I've got to show appreciation via live stream. So keep up the great work, man. I appreciate that. Means a ton, and appreciate you showing love to me and
My
Juan.
man Dave. It's my guy.
Really appreciate it, and appreciate everyone for coming through in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that's commenting. And like Philip B said, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to me and to Juan Gotti, Talking Sports, great Washington football team YouTuber. We're trying to put, posts out every day, or at least, close to every day. And I appreciate everyone who's, watching our content. And Dave and DC, again, man, appreciate the donation. Let's see. What's up, Beast Mode? Appreciate you for coming through. So, Juan, what is another key to victory that you have for Washington?
So we did a defensive one. Offense, I think we got to go. I don't know. That's a good one. I think maybe attack this secondary because, again, they're missing a lot of people in that secondary. I remember Richard Sherman, isn't he still out with a hamstring? And we just named 2 cornerbacks that are hurt. I think Sean Murphy Bunning should be coming back off of IR, but they're really banged up in that secondary. So I think what we have to do is take advantage of the secondary, man. We have to get Terry McLaurin the ball early and often. I don't care if Terry McLaurin is getting the ball on a jet sweep. We have to put the ball in his hands some sort of way, whether it's a deep shot early in the game, whether it's something short and sweet like a screen, a slant, a drag, just something early to get him flowing. We can't continue to have these games where Terry McLaurin is only 4 catches for 28 yards, man. It's ridiculous. We're wasting this time when we do that. And then you got to look at it like this too. Other people are gonna have to step up too. DeAndre Carter, De'Ami Brown finally back. I want to see a lot more from J.D. McKissick too, and that's crazy to say because he's really been, our second weapon with Logan Thomas been out, with Curtis Samuel been out, with De'Ami been out. He's been our second weapon, but I want to see more from JD only because I feel like he can really, cause problems. We see how good JD McKissick is in open space. So I want to, and I don't want to more so see more from JD. I want to see Scott more so use JD. That's how I should maybe phrase it. I want to see Scott, scheme some things for JD because he can really be dangerous if we line him up in the slot, if we use him, in the backfield and have some, halfback screens for him or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Dave again. He says we need to stop using Terry as a decoy. That's facts. You know what I'm saying? We're not good enough to use Terry as a decoy. You know what I'm saying? If anything, we have to use Antonio Gibson as a decoy since that's our second best player from clout wise on offense with Curtis Samuel being out and Logan Thomas being out. You know what I'm saying? But we got to stop using them as decoys. We have to, at least if he's going to come away with 4 receptions, I want those to be 4 receptions that he makes. I don't want it to be like 4 receptions and only 7 targets. Terry McLaurin should have double-digit targets every single game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at some of these best receivers like a Stephon Diggs, like a Devontae Adams, and I'm not saying Terry is on that level by any means, but they treat their number ones like a number one. We treat our number one like a number 3. You know what I'm saying? We only throwing the ball whenever we choose to, like he's just a regular guy. And he's that guy. He's our number one guy. He is our face of the franchise. I love Chase, hometown guy from PG County, just like me, obviously. But we gotta call it. We gotta call it what it is. Yes, Chase Young was drafted number 2 overall, but Terry McLaurin is the face of this franchise. Like, it's facts, bro. So we need to get our guy the ball, and I want to see more from DeAndre Carter because he's actually been playing really well. I thought he was just a guy that was gonna be a camp body. I thought he was only going to make the team because of special teams, but he's got a chance to, he had a chance to, show what he can do as a receiver. And I think he hasn't been great, but he's been really solid. So I fully expect him to be here for the future, just solely based off of his, special teams ability, but he can be a sneaky good receiver. Dax Milne is another guy who I think we hit on because he has been really solid, and I'm just so excited with this future of this team when we get a quarterback, man. But yeah, that's pretty much my next key is that we have to attack this banged up secondary that the Buccaneers have.
Yeah, got to get the ball to Terry. I mean, like, obviously it's just fantasy football, but you look at his points per game in fantasy football, and it's like boom or bust. And it's like really just because some games they target him a lot and sometimes they don't. And sometimes when they do target him, it's kind of like Heineke throws it to him pretty late. Like in that Saints game, Terry got a bunch of targets thrown his way, but a lot of them really he didn't have a chance to catch because they were thrown late. Or a little bit inaccurate. So got to feed the ball to Terry. And I agree, use J.D. McKissic more. And I really let's say, because I like Dax Milne a lot, and I think that they're going to show a little bit of respect to Adam Humphries because he is the veteran, and he's been don't get me wrong, Adam Humphries has been good this year. He hasn't been used that much, but almost every time he's been targeted, he's caught the ball, and it's been a pretty big play. He's been good for us. I think it would be nice if they could try to figure out a way to use both of those guys, right? Use both of those guys, and maybe as the season goes on, let's say the next 3 games, we lose 2 out of the 3 or even 3. That's when you start looking at the future and okay, Adam Humphries is a free agent after this year. He's going to be gone, or even if he comes back, Dax Milne next year is probably going to get, the starting nod over him, or at least above him on the depth chart. So let's get Dax Milne some more work because, he hasn't gotten much work, but when he's been on the field, he's been pretty solid. He's been open a bunch of times. Quarterback hasn't gotten the ball, but he's been open a few times, gotten some nice catches. Last game there was, near the red zone, Heineke threw, an okay ball to him, but it was, pass interference. They didn't call it, but it was pass interference against the defense on Dax Milne. So I do like him. One thing I'm going to say is Heineke needs to play like himself. We've said it for a while now, but play if we want to win, Heineke, play like you did in that game against the Bucs. Play like that. Play like that. Play freely. Take some shots down the field. I have not how many deep shots has Heineke completed this year? The only time times I can remember is those deep shots to Terry where he's under duress and he just chucks it up. I haven't seen him actually complete a designed deep pass, not many at least, this year. In the Bucs game, there was the first pass of the game, he threw a dime, a 40-plus yard dime to Cam Sims. Cam Sims dropped it, but still, I want to see that a little bit more. I want him to, be a little bit more aggressive, and scramble a bit. And if you're near the pylon, do what you did in the Bucs game, not what you did in the Green Bay Packers game. Got to be aggressive. And if he does that, I think we have a chance to, make it competitive.
Yeah. And I beg to differ a little bit from that Packers game. He made a huge mistake, super bad, multiple occasions. But for some of that game,
that's what I was saying. I'm saying he was super, the way he dove in the Bucs game. That's what I like to see. But in the Packers game, he did the opposite. He wasn't aggressive, and he just kind of laid down at the goal line because he didn't want to get hit.
Yeah, for that specific play, definitely. But I was just saying in general for that whole first half at least, he was taking shots down the field. He was playing like the Tampa Bay, Taylor Heineke. And I said this today. It's just if he plays like that every single game, this guy is a low-end starter, a very, very low-end starter, but a high, super high backup. And he already is a super high backup, probably one of the best backups in all of football. But if he played like how he did every single, week, or how he played in that Bucs game every single week, that Giants game every single week, minus the Bradbury interception, maybe we're 4-4, maybe we're 3-5 instead of 2-6. But I just think the biggest thing with Taylor Heineke is he lets the media, he lets the coaches get to his head and try to change his play style. You really think? And obviously, it's just kind of probably a bad comparison to make because it's Tom Brady and Taylor Heineke. But you think Taylor or Tom Brady lets the coaching staff get to his head? You think the coaching staff gets to Lamar Jackson head? You think the coaching staff gets to Aaron Rodgers, just all these great guys, Josh Allen. No, they go out there and play their game. Obviously, they take tips from their coaches, but they're not going to change their whole playing style, i.e., trying to strictly be a pocket passer and acting like you can't run, trying to not make the certain throws that you normally would make, regardless of if you think it's open or not, because you don't want to throw an interception. Go out there and play like that reckless. Go play how he's. Remember he said in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I know I'm kind of rambling, but remember he said in the first Tampa Bay Buccaneers game in the playoffs, he was going out there to play like he had nothing to lose because he didn't. Go ahead and go in with that mindset, bro. Play like you had nothing to lose. I felt like he did in that Green Bay game for the first half. I felt like in that Broncos game, he really didn't. I just felt like in some of these games, he just wasn't playing like himself. And like you said, if he does, he gives us the best chance to win. But if he doesn't, we have no shot.
Yeah, I agree. So, those are kind of some, of our keys to victory. We got like obviously the cliche ones, like win the turnover battle. Like you got to do that if you want to win this game. You can't have those silly mistakes like no busted coverages. I mean, we're like if any quarterback is going to take advantage of that, it's going to be Tom Brady. Like he is the smartest player in the NFL in terms of just reading the field because he's always been a smart player, but obviously he's been in the league for so long, so he pretty much has seen every single defense thrown at him. So like this is not the week to mess up. This is not the week to have miscommunication because Tom Brady's going to sniff that out at the line of scrimmage and he's going to make you pay even with, guys from the street. It doesn't matter. He's going to be able to do that even with, Antonio Brown out, even with Rob Gronkowski out, even if Chris Godwin's out. He's going to be able to slice us up if we make mistakes. So that is an obvious one, but you can't have this miscommunication and, blown coverages. We've done better the last couple of weeks, but the first 6-7 weeks, that was very bad. And if we have any of those, Tom Brady will take advantage and kill us.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Tom Brady is obviously the greatest player in NFL history. And we seen what he did the first week or the first time we played him. If we can't get no type of pressure on him, we're not going to win. We're not even going to have a chance to make it competitive. So I think we need to do that. And if we can do that, again, you see, we may have a chance to win. I mean, I hope so. We'll get to my prediction. Some of you might already know it, but we'll get to my prediction our prediction when Pedro, when we get there. But I think if we can find a way to pressure Tom Brady, we can have a good day. But if we don't, it's going to be a super long day.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to that prediction right now. So you can go ahead and get started because I haven't thought about it. But give me your score prediction, and I'm thinking about mine real quick.
Yeah, so my prediction, I know I'm not with everybody here, but my score prediction is 35-24 Washington. Yes, you heard it here. I have us winning this game. I picked this as our upset of the year last year, or early in the offseason around August. I said this is going to be Washington's upset. This is the revenge game for Taylor Heineke, so I felt like we were going to win. And what do I look like going against my word? I know we're 2-6. I know it seems like we don't have a shot, but I can't go against my word. I predicted us to upset them in the offseason, so I'm going to stay with my word now, and I think Washington actually wins this game 35-24. I really do. I don't know why, because this team hasn't gave me any, reason to believe or to have hope, but for some reason I feel like we are going to win this Sunday.
I'm going to go 19-27 Tampa Bay just because, I think we got a new kicker, and I think, he's been pretty good this year in terms of, his field goals. He's at 85%, which is pretty good. I think Dustin Hopkins was 79% last year, but his extra points are not that good this year. So I'm just going to go out there, say 19 to, 27, something around there. 19-27. I think our offense is getting healthier, which is good. But like Brandon Sheriff and Sam Cosmi, let's say those two come back, it's not going to make an enormous difference because Wes Schweitzer and Cornelius Lucas, when they were in there, they were solid for us. They were good for us. Obviously, Brandon Sheriff and Sam Cosmi are upgrades. Don't get me wrong, but they're not huge upgrades. But if we get Logan Thomas back next week and those guys, once we start getting people back, I really, really think we can, start to get some more points on offense and get to where we were in, weeks 2 to 4, weeks 2 to 5. We were scoring a lot more points than we are now. What's up, One Live Music? Appreciate you coming through. It says 31-17, Tampa Bay. So yeah, I mean, I just hope we can keep it competitive. And at this point, like, it would be amazing to make the playoffs, but that's pretty much out of the picture at this point. So I'm rooting for players. Like, I'm rooting for players to start balling out. I mean, there's certain players that they're going to be here next year. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. So I need to see these, like, what are some, I'll go first, but what are some players that you think need to have a really good second half of the season? Not necessarily just for themselves, but for this team to be successful, not only this year, but, in the future. I'll go with a few players, and then you can, add on to what I say or name a few more players. So guys that I think need to ball out, Jamin Davis, obviously, not even ball out. He needs to improve. He needs to improve because he's going to be here next year. Pretty much most of our defense is going to be here next year, but he needs to improve. He needs to show, like, what big plays has he made this year? Like, only big play really this year, like, that you were like, man, that's why we drafted him in the first round, is that play against the Bills where it was 4th and 1. He had a great coverage and made a great tackle on 4th and 1. He had a good play against the Giants as well. But, like, he needs to make some plays. He needs to improve. And if he can be playing, like, at an average linebacker in the NFL at the end of the season, I know that's not, like, saying much. Like, you're like, oh, wow, that he's your first-round guy. Like, he should be better than that. But he's raw. And if he can be, like, an average-type linebacker at the end of the season, he's going to improve drastically in the offseason. So he's a guy that needs to improve over the second half of the season. Chase Young, I mean, I don't have to say more than that. He has been super disappointing. He needs to be way, way better. He needs to be a lot better. Chase Young needs to be better. I'll give one more because, I mean, I've kind of stolen all of them. Antonio Gibson, I know it's his injury. His injury's been concerning, but, if he can, I had high expectations for him, and if his injury starts progressing, if he can have a big year or some big games, that would be really, really big for us. And real quick before you go on, Philip, we appreciate the $10 donation. It says 27-21, we win. Keep up the content, guys. Most people probably turned off by the way the season's been. We still appreciate the info and banter, man. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for being here.
Like Juan always says, like, without the audience, we're just talking to each other. So appreciate the donation, appreciate the support from everyone. And yeah, I mean, we're kind of struggling right now this season. We're 2-6, but maybe we can turn around. But if not, we're still going to be here putting out content.
Yeah. So for me, let me think. Obviously, Chase, and I'm glad you brought that up because I haven't been able to say this on, like, because I even forgot to say it in one of my videos this week. I can finally say it on a public area. Antonio Gibson has not had a bad season like some of you guys think. The guy still put up 442 rushing yards, and he's on pace probably for about 600, 700, which is solid. Is it the season that we thought he was going to have, coming back off of that season last year? No, but he's doing all of this while dealing with a shin injury. He has been so solid for us this year. Again, he hasn't had the second year season like we thought, but maybe it's the drops that's killing us. But Antonio Gibson, solely as a pure running back, he has not been as bad as people think. He has been really solid. I just had to say that because I think Antonio Gibson's been good. In my opinion, I think he's been good. Could he be better? Of course. But I think as a pure running back, he's been good in my opinion. But go ahead.
No, real quick, let me just comment on that, and then you can give another player. I think Antonio Gibson, before the shin injury, was really good. Like, he was getting some tough yardage, he was getting some, he was running really well. And, even I would say, like, the first week or two of the shin injury, he was doing well. But I feel like the last few weeks, it's been a struggle. They've given him less snaps. He's had fumbling issues. And, he just doesn't look the same. And I think that is definitely has to do with the shin injury. So I'm really hoping this can start to heal so I can see how good he is, close to fully healthy. So you have another player?
Yeah. Let me think. So Chase. I would say Montez, but he's gonna be out for a couple of weeks. Jamin is another guy that you said. I'm trying to think. William Jackson is obviously one
For
that needs to
sure,
have
yes.
a better second half to the season because obviously we know he is getting paid a lot of money. Um, no, Landon Collins has had a solid, last 2 games for the bye, so he needs to have a better second half. I'm trying to think who else.
And you
We can
guys can put in
basically
the
say
chat as well.
I'm trying to go by position by position. So Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St. Juice, William Jackson. Those are really our main corners. Landon Collins, and not a safety anymore, but he still wants to be called safety. Cam Curl, Bobby McCain's a guy that needs to have a better second half. Cam Curl has been our best safety, man. I just don't
Oh yeah,
understand why he hasn't been like. I really next year and maybe later this season, I really like the Shazer Everett is getting done so bad, man. Because I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he should be just the only guy out there getting snaps. But him and Cam Curl should be the starting safeties for what we got right now. Maybe we'll get another guy in the draft, but for right now, they should be our starting safeties, man. I know Shays is more a strong safety, not really a free safety, but he played a hell of a free safety last year. I think they need to be our safeties right there. Jeremy Reeves needs to be another guy that needs to see the field. Bobby McCain hasn't been good, and he needs to have a better second half. I'm trying to think. Okay, then D line Chase Montez is going to be out. Deron John has been really solid.
I think you covered it.
Maybe Deron Payne, maybe Tim
Yeah,
Settle. Matt Ioannidis has been really disappointing this season. He's been close to a few sacks. I wouldn't be surprised if his QB hits / pressures are up there. But he, as far as getting the sacks and stuff like that, forced fumbles, he's been a little quiet this year. Hopefully, he can turn it around. I'm starting to think. Maybe, and I don't know because I think Matt Ioannidis may have one more year on his contract, but if he doesn't, maybe we lose Tim and Matt because I think Tim Settle's gone after this year. I think he's going to get a
for
good deal,
sure.
rightfully so. Tim Settle is so good, so I think he's going to get a bag somewhere else where he is going to be a starter because he is really really good. But I'm trying to think if Matt Ioannidis is does he have one more year on his deal because he's really good too, obviously as we know. But if he has one more year left, or if he doesn't, he could be another guy that is going to be gone next year, and he's probably going to get the bag too to be a starter because him and Tim Settle both can be starters elsewhere, as we know. So I think he signed a 3-year deal in 2019, I want to say, and yeah, so he is going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2023. So we still have him for one more year. So he's going to be here next year, obviously, but after that, I would not be surprised if we if we let him go because again, we got to pay Duran, we got to pay Montez, we got to pay Chase and all of these guys up and coming, and Matt Ioannidis deserves to go start somewhere else. Like I said, I know he's been underwhelming this year, but him and Tim Settle can be a duo on another team. So I think I pretty much covered it for the defense. I'll let
Yeah.
you cover the offense.
Yeah, and yeah, I think we both covered most of it. I would
Mm-hmm.
say, Curtis Samuel, if he does come back, like I want to see what he can do, add to the offense. But I think we should shut him down. And then really, besides that, like I think De'Ami Brown, like he needs to show more. He's been very disappointing. I know the injuries have bothered him, but he's been disappointing. So real quick, we're gonna wrap it up in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to hear from you, the guys in the comments, about kind of like some of the quarterbacks in the draft. I didn't watch a ton of the game yesterday, but I watched a lot because I was kind of flipping through the Pitt UNC game and then the Dolphins game, and I was watching a lot of the Pitt UNC game during commercials of the Thursday night game. And man, Kenny Pickett, he looked really, really good in that game. I mean, he doesn't get that many rushing yards, but he's still a little bit more mobile than you think. He can get those tough yards if you do need him. His deep ball is amazing. His decision making is pretty good as well. I mean, he might be QB1 in this draft, him or Matt Corral for me. And then Sam Howell, for some reason, whenever I was watching, I couldn't see much of him, whether it was Kenny Pickett had Pitt had the ball on offense, or the UNC was running the ball a bunch. But he looked okay to me. But I really really like Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, so I'll be a fool if I sat up here and said I'll watch that game. The only thing I watched from that game was the overtime drive where the Pitt actually won. But other than that, the only one play I can remember is when Kenny Pickett, the first play of overtime, he almost threw an interception. Other than that, I'll be lying if I said I actually watched that game. But off of my little glances of Kenny Pickett from that game and watching a little bit of highlights on him, he gives me Justin Herbert vibes. Obviously probably not as good, but just the hair, man. Like he just looks like Justin Herbert, bro. Like I swear, maybe hopefully he could be as good as Justin Herbert coming out of the draft.
Yeah, and I think he's a fifth-year guy, so he's gonna be the most NFL ready guy in this draft, in my opinion. I mean, he's a fifth-year senior, so and some people are gonna be like, oh, I don't like that because he's gonna be a 24-year-old rookie. Well, the thing is, that could be the case with like a receiver or a running back where you get them and these guys need athleticism. They absolutely need athleticism to be in their prime, to be at their peak, to play those positions. Quarterback, we've seen Tom Brady, Drew Brees, a bunch of these guys play into their late 30s, early 40s. So that's not really a concern for me. Maybe the concern is, he's 24, so he's not going to grow much more. But I mean, I don't know. I like Kenny Pickett, him and Matt Corral. And the Malik Willis just seems like a little bit too much of a project for me. And he's also not playing good competition. And Sam Howell, I kind of agree with Philip B right here. I mean, I'm not like, completely turned off by him, but I don't absolutely love him. Like you said, his decision making isn't great. And I mean, he gets sacked a ton, and that's not all on him. The offensive line for UNC isn't great, but I'm not a huge fan of Sam Howell. Might be QB4 for me, QB3 or QB4, but definitely for me right now, Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett are the first two.
Yeah, I honestly haven't done a lot of work. I know I've been hearing about the UVA guy. I think Armstrong. I could be wrong. I think his name is Armstrong from UVA. It's a lot of quarterbacks that a lot of people have been telling me to watch, but I'm not going to do it yet because we're still in season. As much as this season has been bad, I'm still going to. Because I actually want to watch all of these quarterbacks when I have time, like to watch them. And I do have time to watch them a little bit. But still, again, we're in season still, so I want to, wait till the off season to really watch these guys. But I'm about to look it up right quick before we get out of here. I just want to look at all the guys that are coming out because it's a lot of guys. So you have Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Desmond Ritter's another guy, Kenny Pickett, Carson Strong. I think that's another guy that I've been hearing. Sam Howell, obviously.
Ritter's
yeah,
probably a second round, third round guy.
Yeah, I said Ritter. Kenny Pickett, obviously. Carson Strong's another guy that a lot of people have been telling me about. Sam Howell. I haven't heard about Tanner McKee. No one's really said his name. Spencer Rattler, who's been god awful. He's probably going to transfer. Kendon Slovis from USC. I really haven't. No one really told me to look him up, but I guess he's probably good. And it's another guy from.
And people in the chat can say this. What's the guy? He's going to get a lot of buzz. The Purdue quarterback. He's been pretty good. I forgot what his name is. Maybe some Morgan, but he's been pretty good. Someone let me know in the chat, and then we'll go ahead.
I'll look it up right quick.
Go ahead. I know we'll call it a day. I mean,
is his name? Let me see. Is it Jack? Is it Jack Plum or Jack Plummer?
Yeah, I think that might be it. But he's another guy that has risen up the ranks. I don't think he's going to be a first round guy, but there's been some mocks with him in the first round, but he's been moving up boards. There's so much time left, like you said, Juan, and then plus the pre-draft process. I want to see these guys in the Senior Bowl. Like a lot of these guys are seniors. Let's hope they go to the Senior Bowl.
Let me see here. I'm trying to look up Purdue's last game because it gave me another guy too. Yeah. But yeah, there's another guy from UVA named Armstrong that they've been talking about. I think his name's like Brand. It could be Brandon Arm. I don't know his name honestly, but I know his last name is Armstrong. But let me see here. They're. I think his name is. Let me see.
But
Let
yeah,
me see.
we got to draft a quarterback though, unless we get one
What?
in free agency or free agency or via trade. Which free agency doesn't look good, and to trade market, it's going to be a lot of big name quarterbacks, and it's going to be hard for us to go and end up signing these or trying to trade for these guys.
Wait, so Michigan State lost to Purdue? Wow,
Yes,
I did not know that. That should tell you
David Bell went off.
how much I watch college football. But Michigan State, they were just number 3, and then they dropped all the way to number 8. So I'm trying to think. Purdue passing. Their starting guy is Aiden O'Connell. 40 for 54, 536 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns versus Michigan.
Yeah, he went off.
Aiden O'Connell. Is that the guy that you were looking for?
I
Because
think
not
so. Yeah, I know it's
Jack
a.
Plummer.
Yeah, I think it was the yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it a day. Appreciate you,
All
Juan,
right.
for coming on. I'll
Yep.
probably have a video out tomorrow, maybe talking about Washington's defense, and then we'll see. Might do a quick pregame stream on Sunday, before the game. So make sure you guys come through to that. And I know Juan's gonna be doing a live stream on Sunday for the game, so make sure you guys go through to that. So appreciate everyone in the chat. Appreciate everyone supporting the channel. I see I'm frozen on the screen right there. But yeah, thanks for
You
coming
good
on.
now. Yeah, man. As always, we're here every week. You know what I'm saying? And I love doing this. So it's always fun to come on here, man. I appreciate you for having me as always, man. And yeah, hopefully we can get this win Sunday as I predicted the upset. If we get the upset, I want everyone to,
You heard it here first
let
with
me,
Juan.
But no, thank you for having me on as always, man. It's a blessing.
Yep, appreciate you coming through, and peace out to everyone. Philip B, Anonymous Person, Tyler C, Tommy T, Rogelio, One Life Music. Appreciate all you guys for coming through.